Hey y'all, hey, welcome back to Truth, Trust, and Trajectory with your girl Shakim. Today I'm going to be talking about something I feel is really important, which is the perception of feeling unseen. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like no one noticed you? Like your words, your presence, your very existence didn't matter? If you've ever felt unseen, unheard, or dismissed, you're not alone. And today we're going to change that. So I want you guys to keep on watching. All right, guys. So welcome back to Truth, Trust, and Trajectory. I am Shakim B. And this is the space where we'll explore healing, self worth, and reclaiming the power that has always been yours. Before we dive in, make sure you guys subscribe so that you never miss an episode designed to guide you on your journey. Also, stay tuned until the end for a special free coaching session with Tarot Insight just for you. All right, so kicking this off, why do we feel invisible? Feeling unseen doesn't just happen, it's often a learning experience. Maybe you grew up in a home where your feelings weren't acknowledged. Maybe in relationships, your voice was minimized or ignored. These experiences have shaped the belief that you don't matter. But let me tell you something, you do matter. And today we're shifting that mindset. What I want you guys to do is to think about a time that you felt invisible. What was the situation? Who was involved? Now I want you to ask yourself, was my voice actually unheard, or have I learned to silence myself? Awareness is the first step to breaking the cycles. So I'll just share an experience of my own as it pertains to feeling invisible and unheard. And a lot of the times, I do realize that I've done a lot of projecting in my life, not intentionally, just because of the story and the narrative that I've told myself time and time again has been formatted into a belief, right? And with beliefs, that's just kind of how our beliefs dictate or they drive us in our lives, and they also craft and scope our experiences. So, for instance, there have been a plethora of times that I can remember of having multiple conversations and feeling like I was being dismissed and unheard. And in these situations, instead of sitting back and thinking about, hey, maybe it's the message or the way that I've said it, or even if this person was receptive to what I was saying, right? My first go to was just to get very defensive and um, holding a lot of resentment as it pertained to how I felt. Because when we feel like our feelings are not being validated, or our expressions or opinions are not being reciprocated or understood by the other person, as our natural response is to either withdraw or to build up a level of resentment. So that's how I found myself operating so much of my life, and just a lot of disparity and resentment, as opposed to simply trying to ask more questions as to, hey, was this received? How did you receive this? What are your thoughts on it? And just kind of trying to reframe the way that the conversation um, goes or went, right? Either way, to maximize a better experience and just the relationship in general. Now, I want to talk about how you can reclaim your voice. I'm going to give you guys 3 strategies to start feeling seen and heard today. Y'all ready for it? So, number 1, you're going to affirm your presence. What this looks like is it's walking into every space knowing that you belong. It starts with expecting to be received by people, right? It's like demanding presence. And for anybody that's like, oh, well, that sounds just downright arrogant. And it's not. It's not, it's really not though, right? Because a lot of people operate on this frequency and you find it's their way of communicating with other people is a lot easier. It comes more naturally because they command the room. And it's not like they're doing it in a forceful way. It's very graceful, right? So I'm going to give you guys a mantra. My presence is powerful. I deserve to be seen and heard. And when you walk with this and start practicing, start telling yourself, you know, my presence is powerful. I deserve to be seen and heard. Because the more that you start saying this and affirming it over and over again, the more that it will start to be very apparent in your presence, right? And people will start to show up for that. Number two, speak up, even if it feels uncomfortable. You don't need permission to take up space. Challenge yourself to express one thought or feeling today, even if it's small. And I've been practicing this for quite some time. I think as time goes by, I get a lot better with it, right? So for me, one of the things that I'm still actively working on is my delivery, right? Because some people I like to consider myself a very straightforward person. So when I'm talking, I am mindful not to be blatantly rude, but I can't lie. I have been told sometimes that, the way that I say things comes off as very rude, which is not intentional. So that's definitely something that I focus on fixing within myself, right? However, on the other side of the coin, being able to say, hey, I don't really like that you did this, right? When you did this, it bothered me. It made me feel annoyed or it made me feel belittled. It made me feel however it made you feel. Like it is very important. And I'll give you guys a really good example. I was texting back and forth with a friend at one point, right? And we had made plans to go for a walk. And, the day of, my friend never even like contacted me or anything like that, which I kind of already expected intuitively, right? So 3 or 4 days goes by, and this friend ends up messaging me, and they're like, "Hey," and I'm like, "What's up? Like, what's up?" And the friend is like, "Oh, how's your day or whatever." So before I would have just kept that inside and not really said anything, but making a mental note and clocking that that's something that I don't necessarily like. What I turned around and did, I thought about it for a second before I responded because I didn't want to come off like overtly rude, but I also wanted them to know, like, hey, like what you did was rude. So, I sat back and I thought about, what I was going to say. And then, I ended up texting them and I said, listen, I said, I, we had plans the other day and you never even reached out, didn't, hey, where are you? Blah, 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 nothing like that. So the friend was like, oh, well, you never contacted me. So I just assumed. And so, I let them know. I'm like, listen, I said, if you get offered a job, right? And the manager says, hey, you're going to start tomorrow. I need you to be here at 9 o'clock, right? You're not going to wait for that manager to then contact you the day of when you're supposed to be starting work and say, oh, well, are you still coming into work today? So I'm like, I think that right there, like from the way that I think about it, I think that's just a level of respect, right? If you engage in setting up plans with somebody and then you flake on them, I don't think that it's appropriate for you to try to push it back on the other person as if it was their obligation to make sure that you follow through with your plans and what you said you were going to do. But unfortunately, I think we live in a time where a lot of people do this. And I think it is to escape any level of accountability, which is fine, right? But with that being said, you don't need permission to take up space. So, challenging yourself to express one thought or feeling today, even if it's small, is a huge thing, right? And for me, that was huge. I felt really good about myself. I felt amazing. I felt like, hey, like I was able to speak up on how I felt. And, it didn't come off as a very, it wasn't conflict. It made me feel good because that is something that I'm actively working on, constantly making sure that I speak up, right? Now, in the same breath, if we're talking about a context like a relationship or anything like that, and if it's something that you continuously have to do, I think at that point it is definitely worth it to sit back and ask yourself, is this a conversation that I want to keep having, right? And I think that's like a different episode. That's a whole nother topic. So the third strategy that I'm going to give you guys today is choose the right space. Some environments will never see you fully, and that is not your fault. Seek out people and spaces that truly value you. So, when I just mentioned about the repetitive conversations that sometimes we find ourselves having to do, at that point, right? Assessing whether that space is appropriate for you and whether you belong in that space, and if whatever person, situation, whether it's a job, a person, whatever, if they are not able to meet you where you're at, I think then it is okay to kind of like peace out and be like, you know what, nah, actually I think I'm good, because we're all adults here. No one really has time to continue to have the same repetitive conversations over and over again. It's annoying, right? So I wanted to keep these next couple of videos very short. I really hope that you guys found some value in this episode and that something resonated with you. If the episode did in fact resonate with you, please subscribe, share, and leave me a review, because more people need to hear this message. And if you're ready to dive deeper, I'm offering a free 30-minute coaching session with tarot guidance to help you unlock your voice and reclaim your power. And I want you guys to go ahead and book at TruthTrustandTrajectory.com, because you deserve to be seen, you deserve to be heard, and I see you. Also, I wanted to mention on the website Truth, Trust, and Trajectory, there are I'm creating a abundance of podcast blogs. Okay. So I have a bunch of different stuff that's going to be coming out within the next month and a half. So guys, please make sure you go over to Truth, Trust, and Trajectory, book a consultation with me. And if you guys are wanting to just do a quick 30-minute consultation, you can find my Linktree link in the description, and head on over there, fill out the free session form that I have up there for you. And until next time, okay, bye.